few announcements before we begin. There's no smoking in any Board of Education building. Please look around and locate the fire exits to the side and rear of the auditorium. You're welcome to videotape tonight's performance for your own use, but please keep flash photography to a minimum. And of course, please put your cell phone makers on mute. We have a wonderful show for you tonight. The kids have been working really hard to prepare for tonight's concert, and they're looking forward to performing for you. We'd like to express our thanks to Dr. Craig Cook, the Superintendent of Schools, and the Windsor Board of Education, as well as Russell Sills, the principal here at the high school, and the vice principals at Windsor High School, Carol Schultz, Chris Brown, and Lynn Boltzmann. They are the backbone of this school, and we couldn't do what we do without them. And finally, the music staff are grateful for the support given to the music program by the parents in the town of Windsor. We are very fortunate to work in a community that values the arts as much as Windsor does, and we thank you for your continued support. So sit back and relax, and let me introduce my friend and colleague, Dr. Paul Hughes.
Last stop is the launching of tonight's program. It begins our fun-filled voyage of filling space with patterns of sound. Our challenge is to have poised posture, aim for a smooth blast-off, full of energy with straight full blows. The tremolo at the end marks a successful liftoff. Marching into the practice room. The marching band originated with traveling musicians who performed together at festivals and celebrations throughout the ancient world. This has offered us the opportunity to develop precision by requiring us to memorize march while playing and control bow direction up, down, up at the end of each phrase. It is a fun.
for notes that are lower on the staff and in pitch. Starts and stops also develop bow control.
We're going to now transition. And this side of the stage, violins, you're going to be seated over here. You're going to be seated over here. Cellos are seated in the front. And may the fourth graders quietly come up to the stage. Quietly. These are our more advanced fourth and fifth graders. We have a combined orchestra. And for our first piece, Tristan Davis will introduce it for us.
Rustic dances of margins. Margins are parties featuring country dances, costumes, and fiddles that are popular in the early American times. The contrast between forte and piano provides practice in dynamic control, and the melodies are passed through an ensemble so that everyone gets a chance to shine.
Kristen Boca, SRI, will introduce the Nutcracker March.
Giant Coxey's Nutcracker March has become the most popular ballad performed at Christmas, appealing to children and public alike. The ballad opens with Christmas Eve assembly in the home of a little girl Clara who receives a wonderful array of toys and presents, including a nutcracker. When the lights are out, a wonderful thing happens. All the playthings come to life. The nutcracker is transformed into a handsome prince who takes Clara to his magical kingdom. This march introduces the opening Christmas card scene. It is expressive of the joy and spirit of the holidays. The melody alternates between duplets and triplets and requires a very steady beat to symbolize the celebratory.
Natalie Riley will introduce Ode to Joy.
Just as our Star-Spangled Banner is our national anthem, Ode to Joy is the anthem of the European Union. It is from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony and is played for celebration. Symphony number 9 is considered by many to be one of the greatest works in Western music. The words to Ode to Joy, poem and celebrates the unity of all mankind.
exit right now and find a seat in the front rows. Will now introduce Mountain.
Mountain climbing is based on the folk song She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain and is a traditional African-American folk song often categorized as children's music. This song was based on the most original title When the Chariot Comes, which is sung to the same melody. During the 19th century, it spread through Appalachia, where the lyrics were changed into the current form. The song was later sung by railroad work gangs in the Midwestern United States in the 1890s.
Gianna Venturini will introduce the Russian musicals.
The Russian music box is based on the Russian folklore. It also contains beautiful images of legendary tales, ballad, folk song, and dancing bears. Listen to how the plucking of our strings accompanies the melodies and for the echoes within the melody.
students who are not participating, who are participating in Nona Nova's marching, please take a seat in the front rows with your violins and violas placed quietly on your laps. We invite all JFK students, oh wait, I didn't say get up yet, please. We invite all JFK students to listen to our amazing Windsor High School Orchestra. JFK students who are not performing Nona Nova's marching may sit with their parents, or they use this transition to exit the building with their parents. In a couple of minutes, we will welcome our concertmaster, Jim Doshi. This piece, Odyssey, offers an amazing portrayal of the voyage of Odysseus. You can hear the ocean setting as he returns home from the Trojan War. Special effects include co-ligament or tapping the bow stick, mutes where we make the bridge quieter, and harmonics where you lightly glide on the strings. This incredible symphonic nature of this work is our orchestra challenge to create a huge sound without the addition of brass, blues, or percussion. Christmas time is here, O Tannenbaum, skating, and Linus and Lucy. It is especially fitting to program this piece, as it is the 15th anniversary of the original TV premiere. Some of us remember that. These are songs that have become a family tradition for several generations. Like most jazz charts, our bassist, Ryan and Jacob, anchor our sound by outlining the harmony of the music and providing the rhythmic drive and time feel that creates a sense of swing and groove. Both Ryan and Jacob were accepted into Connecticut's Northern Region Festival. Their scores were high enough to qualify them for All-State. Peters, Gabrielle Rosado, and Nario Gelli as fiddlers. While Silent Night features Gina Joshi on violin. Do you know the difference between a fiddle and a violin? The answer is in your program notes, but even as listening, you might have a good idea when we finish these two pieces. A little reminder, guys, in the front, try not to be noisy, okay? Just so you sit quietly, one more piece, and then you get to play. It's a fairly long piece, though, because it's like 5 or 6 songs together. This past Tuesday, many of you attended the school board meeting and voiced support of this program. For this, we are most grateful. To further substantiate the achievements of our students, I'm happy to announce that I found out just today that we had 3 violinists audition for the New England Music Festival Association, and all 3 were accepted. We congratulate Laura Falk, Jolie Nelson, and Aretha Prabhawa. They will be performing in New Hampshire this spring with students throughout New England. Our final selection is Christmas Festival, which is full of holiday carols. Listen for the clever ways that Leroy Anderson overlaps the carols. By the way, his family actually resides in Connecticut, and his daughter plays viola, and I happen to know firsthand she's playing this very same arrangement this week. surround sound. I remind our students to walk quietly and to remain in attentive rest position when you are not playing. Please position yourself so you can see me, and space yourselves to give each other adequate room to bow. Windsor High School students will take their places first, and then I will invite JFK students to exit your rows after the high school have found their places, and you will quietly find your places either between the high school, 4th and 5th grade violins, you're over here between the high school, and here between the high school. 3rd graders, if you sat on this side of the stage, you're over here up front. If you're seated over here, you're over here up front. And the violas are here up front, and the cellos will come up on stage. Okay? If we do this real quiet, it should be smooth. So high school players, you may walk to your places. JFK cellos, you may come up to the stage. 3rd grade, you may come to the front and find yourself. So 3rd grade violas, you may find up here at front. 4th grade, JFK and 5th grade, you may find your places between the violins. So now that you're in places, take a look around. Take a look around. And if there's somebody taller in front of you, would you shift places with them so that we can see everybody? Okay, the tall people should be more in your back. Those are your rows. If you're next to a high school player, make sure you give them room to bow. And since not everybody was here yesterday for the dress rehearsal, I'm going to quickly tell you how this works. We play Dona Nobis Pacem as a 3-part round. The first violin high school players start first, so I look at them, and only high school players play. Everyone else is in rest position. Then I go to the second violins who join us. High school players only. JFK students are still in rest position. Then I come to the stage, and the violas, the high school viola, and violas, and cellos and bass will be part 3. When we come to part 4, which is the second playthrough, this row joins, and you join over here. Miss Doshi will lead you just to get you started. Okay? When I go over here, I will look at you, and you will join. And finally, the front will join. Then I will turn to you, and gradually I will motion each group to cease. And we'll end with the front. May this be a prayer of peace. your support, and for your attendance, and have a